Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unique Nails by Rubia. Today, I am going to be doing a sort of continuation of the video that I did before this when I did these beautiful glow nails. I was not able to put these beautiful nails in the dark during the video because it was in the middle of the day and my apartment has so much sunlight, but I was able to take a picture of them glowing later on that night, and it is on my Facebook page, so you're gonna have to go and take a look at that. I'm gonna try to put it on all my social medias so that everybody gets to see how beautiful these are. But I did say that I was going to also show you guys my method for taking these off. Now, if you remember, I used my solid builder gel and my peel it off base coat to put these on. Now, that doesn't necessarily make them press-ons because I did basically a temporary put on. I guess you could call them press-ons. I do anyway. So these were temporarily put on because I knew that I was going to be taking them off. And I also told you that I was going to show you how to get it off with this type of oil, which is jojoba oil. Now you can use any kind of oil you want. Just make sure that it has the proper thickness. Baby oil doesn't really work because it's too thin and it runs right off. You need something that's gonna kind of sit under the bed of the nails so that you can actually pop these off. So what we're gonna do, say goodbye. I'm gonna take off my excess here. Now, before I go any further, I want you guys to know, of course, you know that I use my Bratty Tips to put these on. Now, these are thick. They're very thick, but I have nothing on but my gel polish. There's nothing else on here, and these are very thick. So I just wanted to point that out. All right, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Always wear a mask, please. Especially if you have any type of lung condition or breathing issues. I'm not going to be using my dust collector because it makes way too much noise for the video. So my voice might be a little different because I have my mask on, but I will do my best to talk loud enough so that everyone can hear what I have to say when I have something to say. I will be using my drill for this just to make it go by a little faster. It's not necessary to use it, but everybody has their own preference. So I will be using a 100 sanding band for this. 100 grit sanding band, I should say. I cannot really say what the power is. It's kind of fast enough for it to come off, but not fast enough to burn the daylights out of my fingers. Be very, very careful when you're using your drill. I'm having a little bit of trouble with this. It's vibrating. If your drill is vibrating, or if you feel that it's not running smoothly, it means that your drill bit is bent. And I'm a little upset because I just bought this. Oh, much better. Okay. I was about to be really upset because I did not want this to be ruined. I just bought it. Okay, so now the next thing that you're going to want to do, I'm not going to do it with this because we need a different drill bit for that. You're going to want to make sure that you cut as low as you can to go along the edges to where, remember when you put, if you put these on the way I did with the solid builder gel, you've got solid builder gel right up in here in the tip. And that's where it's at its thickest. So you want to take that off. Just make it thin at the top because that's going to be really hard to get off if it's not at least as thin as the nail. So I like to do that, and I like to go around the edges. Okay. And that's basically what you're going to have to do. After this, I'm just going to take my stuff here. Hold on, let me get some of this dust out of my way. And you're just going to put it all the way around the nail, all the way. And then I like to go over the entire nail. I want it to really be soaked enough to penetrate underneath what I have on there. Now this takes a few minutes. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Let me show you the tools I use. I use one of these. And I use these. Now, I suggest using these because of the curve in them. It really helps when you're trying to grab the end of it just so that you can take it off. So I'm just going to go around my edges to make sure it's coming up. There it is. It's coming up already. Now you don't have to go around the whole thing because it may be uncomfortable. If at any time you're doing this and it's uncomfortable, put a little bit more oil underneath and let it sit there for a second before you continue. Do not, and I repeat this, do not pull it off if it hurts. I've seen a lot of people just go through the pain and pull it up, and you don't need to do that. So all I'm going to do, I'm just going around the edge to pull it up a little bit. And there it goes. It's coming off. But I feel like it's a little too thick. So I'm going to wait a few seconds before I do that again. So now I'm just going to put a little bit more oil in there. And like I said, it doesn't take long. If you feel like it's a little too thick, you can always take your drill and thin out the top a little bit more because that's where it's the thickest. And I think that's probably what I'm going to have to do. So I'm just going to wipe this off just a tad. And I'm going to thin this out a little more. Okay. Okay, and I'm going to go back and put some more oil around that whole edge there. Same way I had it. Now, this doesn't work for everybody. Some people have told me that they have had to soak it longer, or that they've had to um, pull it off, drill it, pull it off. I mean, it works different for everybody. I like this method basically because I can always get it off. I usually don't have any trouble. And I like this method because I don't have to worry about damaging my nails. You will not damage your nails if you did it the proper way. These nails are so thick, and that is the only trouble that you will have. If the nail is thick like that, it may take a little bit to get it off. But mine is coming off just fine. And there it is. All done. And then you can just wipe the oil away. And I still have that other layer underneath. It didn't go anywhere. It's still there. Matter of fact, there it is right there. But it's still there. That other layer is still there underneath. Let's do another one. I want you guys to realize that this is the thick part. I mean, that's really, really thick. So I took off the nail plus what I put on underneath. And that's basically all that you need to do with that. And I'm just going to go ahead and clip this. And that's really it. And you can even put another thin coat once you're done. But that is basically it. So that works the same way any other chemical that you would use. If you're like me and you can't have all those chemicals on your nails, then that's basically how it's going to work. I'm going to do one more. I'm not going to change my drill piece because this is the same. It has that same consistency as the other one. So we're just going to use this. As a matter of fact, I think this works better than the other one. Remember to be extra careful so that you are not burning yourself at all with this, because if you're doing it too high, or if you're not doing it consistent enough by lifting the drill, you're going to burn yourself. So just be very careful. Okay. So I took the nail polish off, took that thick piece off of there. Now, if you plan on saving the nail, that's a whole different process. Then, yeah, you would have to soak it off. You can still do it with the oil, but it's gonna hurt because you didn't take off that thickness. But if you're one of those people like me who likes to do it this method and you don't want to damage your nail underneath, then this is the best way to do it. But if you're wanting to save your press-ons, then you would follow a whole nother routine by using the glue and then using the soak off chemical that goes with the glue and all of that. But if you're like me and you want to just put them on and use that peel it off base coat underneath and you don't want to use glue, then this is the method that you would use. So it's two different methods. I just want to make that, kind of clear so that everybody understands. You don't, this method will not work as well if you're not taking the stuff off. So if you're doing it like this, like to change your nails a lot, but you don't like to use glue, then this is the way that you would do it. And it works pretty quick. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's underneath it and it's coming off already. Here's the reason why I don't use this to pop it off all the way. Because it hurts that way. So, and I've noticed that people have told me that they don't like it that way. And they were wondering if there was another way that they could do it without it hurting. And this is the way you would do it. This is why you take this and you gently just turn it upward all the way around it so that you're not hurting yourself. Because that's a lot of pressure. And that your nail bed is so delicate. You don't want to do that. You don't want to just pull this off without, and it's almost off already. So I'm just going to put another little drip of oil under there and wait a few seconds more. And if you're like me and you have that soft nail bed, you don't want to try to pry it off. You want to gently use your clippers to turn up the ends, and basically once you turn up the ends it pops off. If you have to put more oil, put more oil. It's not going to hurt anything. And this is almost off. If you feel like you need to take your drill and go over that end a little bit, which is probably what I'm going to do right here. And it also depends on the type of nail that you're using. I'm using Bratty Tips. And like I said, these bad boys are thick. See, there's and it's off. But this is, it's still, I mean, it's not flexible. It ain't bendable. So you can tell that I took off a pretty good chunk of that with just using oil. And again, that protective layer that I put on is still on there. This is the method that I use. I hope that I was able to explain that pretty good to you guys. I took off 2 of them using the jojoba oil, and I only took off the tip, took off the polish, and I was able to pop it off with no problem. I hope that this video, hold on a second, let me take my mask off. I hope that this video helped you guys to understand the method that I use. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please let me know. And I hope that this video was helpful to you. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.